Hello, my name is Ian, and I'm about to go off to Edinburgh Fringe as a reviewer, and I had a request through Twitter as to how I prepare for Edinburgh, but also how I actually became a reviewer. So the reviewer business started a few years ago, where I was asked by a local online magazine if I would like to go and write some reviews. Now, they weren't paying me, but what it did allow me to do, it allowed me to get what was called a press pass, or a media pass as it is now known. That what I did was I would go to Edinburgh Fringe, I would go see shows, and I would then write a review, and it was sort of writing reviews was fine, but actually I'd be there till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning writing this copy. It will be sent overnight so that it could be uploaded the next day to the website, and that was fine. I did that for a couple of years, but actually I then came up with the idea of doing my reviews on my YouTube channel, which is where we are today. Now, last year we did over 35, I think 35 or 40 reviews, and they're all still up on the channel if you want to go back and look at some of them. In fact, what I am going to be doing is some of those shows are there again, so I'm going to slightly update them and repurpose some of that footage before we actually see a show in Edinburgh. So that stuff will start to appear around about the 1st of August. Excuse me. So that's really how I became a sort of reviewer. I sort of fell into it by being asked to do it, and then got hooked, really, having been to, like I said, the Festival Fringe since the early 80s. The other question now was, how do I prepare? Well, as soon as we got access to the shows on the Fringe website, I tend to start trawling through the things that I want to see and the things that Jane wants to see. Jane likes to do hers in paper, so she waits for the paper version, which came through the door the other week, and we have both been trawling through and then having fairly regular meetings as to whether we want to go and see a show. There are a couple of shows actually where I definitely don't want to go and see it, and Jane feels the same. So we may, for the first time ever, do a review of a show individually, because the crux of what we do is that we don't always agree, but we actually do, you know, debate what we saw. And here's a tip, actually. Last night, this is not a Fringe thing, but last night we went to see the National Theatre live stream of Prima Facie, which is Jodie Comer's one-woman show. Absolutely amazing. I was in tears at the end. It's absolutely brilliant. So if you get a chance to see that, either via NT Stream or via live in the West End, go see it, because she's absolutely amazing. And the music is done by Self-Esteem, who's just got a Mercury nominated album, so all good. That would have got 5 stars if we were doing the stars for it. We slightly digress. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at where we are now. We're about a week away, so we have currently scheduled over 1,000 shows. We've currently scheduled over about 100 shows. Now, we know full well we do need to sleep, we need to eat, and we're not going to get to see all of those shows. And actually, what also will happen is, where we are asking for press tickets to go and see these shows, some of the theatre companies or the comedians or the musicians might not want us to review their show, so it's not guaranteed. What we've done is we've factored in all the shows so far that we've wanted to see. Now, some of these shows have come from people on YouTube recommending stuff. Some of the theatre companies have said, oh, well, you know, we'd really like you to come and review our show, and if we fancy it, we'll try and get there, you know. So the way that I've done it is I've put everything into my diary, and I'll show you my diary. So let me just screen capture this. So here is my diary from the 3rd of August. So we go to Edinburgh Fringe. We're going to miss. We've been invited to quite a few press launches, which is normally the sort of thing that happen. And what a press launch usually is it will be a showcase showing you a few of their acts that's going to be at that venue, and that can be quite a good way of actually sort of trying to see things that you might not have thought of. I mean, certainly last year we saw some amazing stuff that we hadn't originally thought of until we went to, it was actually the space press launch that we saw a lot of that sort of really great stuff. So we're going to miss the first one, which is Greenside, mainly because we're still on the train. We then have to pick up our media pass, and then we're going to. We've got a couple of shows in as well, if we can get the tickets and see them. But we are going to hopefully go to the Underpass, the Underbelly press launch, and then to the Assembly Festival Gala launch. Now, the way that this colour coding business works is if something is in blue, then it's a show that we quite like to see, but we haven't asked for tickets or we haven't done anything about it, apart from we've tried to add it to our schedule to actually see if we can actually do that. The ones that are in green are where we've been allocated tickets already, and the ones that are in red are where we have asked for tickets, and we're hoping to hear back as to whether we've actually got those tickets. Now, the reality is there are some clashes, and we're aware of that. And what may end up happening, and it's already started to happen, is we've sort of said to press offices, "I'm really sorry, but we did request this, but actually we need to move that schedule, because it literally is a moving feast, is this thing." So here are our first week, and as you see, if we look at the Thursday the 1st, and the fact that I've put some names up here where I've put Pleasance, Summer Hall, Underbelly, the idea there was that we would go and try and get shows for those particular venues, so that we're not literally all over Edinburgh all of the time. So we would try and, I mean, the ones that are all in red for the 4th here are all shows at the Pleasance. Now, the Pleasance, obviously, all of the venues are really busy at this particular moment. They haven't come back to us yet, so, they will in time, So they are all red at the moment, so we may not get them. So the only things we've definitely got for the 4th, we've got a thing that Jane wants to go and see, but actually I have decided I will go and see it, which is Elegantine, okay, and then we are going to, there's a stand comedy venue, and they have asked us to go to their review, which we will go to, and then we are going to see Aidan Sadler Tropicana at the Assembly Rooms at 10:20 on the 4th. Now, Aidan Sadler is one of the shows that we missed last year, and he was really one of the sort of picks of the Fringe of 2021. So we're looking forward to that. So as you see, we're the first week's pretty full. I mean, if we get everything, we won't be able to go and see everything. We'll see how we get on, really. But so if we have a quick look at from Monday the 8th through to the 14th, you can see that some days we're pretty full, and we purposefully, like on the 10th, we haven't factored in these 3 shows yet, because we'll need to have a break at some point. But the rest of the shows we are in. Most of the shows we're not going to see lots of things that are really late, although we are going to see Leighton live at the Gilded Balloon, which is a 2-hour show starting at 11:30 on the 9th. And the recommendation there that it's one of the things to see at the Fringe. You only probably need to go and see it once, but it's different every night. And if we look at the last couple of days, we've got, you see here on the Tuesday, our last day, we've got some requests in, but we've got nothing actually booked apart from a show at 8:30, which is Dots and Dashes at Bletchley Park Musical. Now, the reason we've not factored anything around that, we do know that venue is actually quite a long walk. It's a good 40-minute walk. So we've actually left quite a bit of a gap there. We've done it again at another one. There's a show, here we are, A War of Two Hives at Tynecastle Park on the 7th. Now that's in a football stadium. Now we went to see their other show last year, and I will repurpose last year's review and slightly update it as to when the show's on, because that was, I think we gave it a four stars. So quite an unusual venue to be in a football stadium. Last year's show, which was called the Sweet FA, was you were just seated, and they'd built like a little stage close to the football pitch. This year, I understand that you're actually walking around the football stadium, so that might be quite cool. Anyway, we'll see how we get on, really. So I hope you found that interesting. You do need to be organised when you go into Edinburgh. And if you haven't booked your accommodation, you probably will get some accommodation, but it will cost you an arm and a leg. And I was asked the other day where, you know, how soon should you book your accommodation if you're going to go to Edinburgh Fringe? Now, I always say we should be booking our accommodation literally the minute we get back. We don't, but certainly book it before Christmas. So if you want to go next year, book it before this Christmas. You still pay all the prices go up for that month, you know, in Edinburgh. It doesn't matter. We're finding now that whereas last year we stayed in an Airbnb, and it wasn't cheap, but it wasn't that expensive, you know, for Edinburgh. I think we paid about £100 a night for that, which was pretty good going, really. This year, the Airbnbs were so expensive that we've actually stayed in a hotel. We're paying a little bit more, but we're not paying a massive amount more to stay in a decent hotel. So, you know, you need to get in early if you want to get your accommodation for Edinburgh. If you live close and you can commute, happy days. So I hope that was useful, and watch out for all the other Edinburgh stuff as it will be coming along, starting probably on the 1st, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks very much. Cheers. Bye bye.